Hey, what's up, guys? It's Knutson. Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you're having a good week. It's almost over again. It's Thursday. It's getting ready for the weekend. It's Memorial Day. Hopefully, you maybe have some great plans for the potentially long weekend. I know if some of you are in the golf business, it may not be as long, but if you do, maybe get out, play a little golf. Before we get into it, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist. And we all know Titleist is the number one ball in golf. But do you know how they earned this title? It's simple. The Pro V1 and Pro V1X are the most played golf balls in the game. And you know what? It's not even close. In fact, most weeks, more than 70% of the field tee it up a Pro V1 or a Pro V1X. And the numbers are even more impressive at the amateur level, where they're the number one choice at the NCAAs, the U.S. Amateur, the U.S. Women's Amateur, and the U.S. Junior, just to name a few. Make Titleist your number one, tee up a Pro V1 or Pro V1X on your next round, and always bring your best. Excuse me. So, again, yeah, hopefully you guys having a good week. My week's been busy. I just got back from Pinehurst, North Carolina, literally last night. I think my plane landed at like 8:30. Had to wait for my bag, drive home, get my car, drive home, all that jazz. So I was home a little later this evening, or last night, and recording early this morning because I just didn't have it in me last night to record when I got home. So I kind of plopped down on the couch and chatted with my wife for a while and watched a little TV, and then that was it. I was done. So, yeah, that was all she wrote. And then early up, set the alarm early, and here I am recording today. So it's kind of a crazy week, and then get through the day. I've got league again tonight, so well, we'll see. It's supposed to be the weather forecast doesn't look too great today for Metro Detroit around my golfing time. It looks like a late afternoon. We're looking at like 50, 60, 70% chances of rain depending on what time it is. So that's never a great thing. Hopefully maybe it will calm down and I can get out and play. But I did, like I said, just get back from the Pinehurst area. I did actually not play Pinehurst. I did play, I was down there I went down Monday, and then, Tuesday, yesterday, came back, hanging out with the folks from Golf Pride, which was pretty cool. Got to visit their headquarters, which is brand new. They have a brand new headquarters down in Pinehurst. It's really cool. They've got some really cool stuff going. Again, excuse me. Some really cool things. I mean, it's a brand new facility. It's pretty interesting. They're doing some pretty cool stuff. Got to check out the new grips and some old grips. They had tons of stuff all over the place, which was pretty cool. They were awesome people. I mean, like everybody in golf. I mean, you get to meet people in golf, and it's just everybody is so. Everybody just has a crazy passion for golf, and it's just another one of those things where, I've been fortunate enough to talk with people from the OEM side, the shaft side, the whatever, and now somebody with grips. And again, it's one of those things, the passion to just make really good golf equipment it's just so evident. Like, it just oozes out of everyone, and it's pretty amazing to see. And talking with some of the engineers and stuff like that, and trying to make different compounds and textures and whatever, and it's just it's pretty cool to see how seriously they take grips. And I know a lot of us kind of take grips seriously of what in terms of size or textures or cord, not cord, whatever. And these people take it probably even more serious than we do. It's not just slapping some rubber on the end of a shaft and calling it a day. It's really they're trying to make some innovate and keep things going and make stuff as best they can, and it's pretty cool to see. So it was pretty exciting. I'll probably get more into that maybe later on. Not today. Maybe I'll get into it a little later. But was down there, played a little golf. Got to play at the Cradle, which over there at Pinehurst. So I did get to play the Cradle, which was super cool. If you don't know, the Cradle is kind of it's Pinehurst little par 3 course, and it's got 9 holes. I think the longest one can play out at like 127 yards, but most of them are 70 whatever. A couple that are like low 50s. I think the shortest one we played, at least with the tees they had then, was 53, and it's just a really cool, fun little 9 holes to go play. It was a blast. I played the bad little 9 down at Scottsdale National, which was very cool. This that was very cool, very difficult. This is definitely a much more playable 9 holes. Excuse me again, early morning. Much more playable 9 holes. They're very cool, holes, and they can be very tough depending on where the pin placements are. But they also can set some pins that are definitely gettable. There's some cool greens and undulation where it looks like, if they put pins certain places, hit it to the left side of the green, let it filter down, stuff like that. That's very fun and very cool. We played it twice. The first time out, I think I played pretty well. I mean, for me, I played pretty well. I think I parred every hole, and then I think I had one bogey that I hit it into a pretty bad spot, and I 3-putted for bogey. But I think I only had like one bogey, maybe two, and the rest I just had a bunch of pars. I just hit a bunch of greens. It was pretty cool, but it was really fun. We had a blast. Like I said, went around twice, and they had some pretty crazy records too. It's 9 holes. Like I said, par 3. They've got records for how many holes in a day. The fastest 9 that you can play, and both those records held by a guy at Golf Pride. I think he said he played 460 some holes in a day, so the most holes played in a day. It was like 460 something. I think he said 468, but I can't verify that number is 100%. And then the fastest round, I think he holds as well, which was like 7 minutes and 7 minutes and some change, and which is crazy to think about. I mean, we played it in with other people on the course, so you wait a little bit. There's other people out there, and I think we played it in like 50 minutes, 45 minutes, and we were just kind of playing, and then we went through and played it again. And at that point, there were less people on it. We ended up playing it. There were less people on the course, but there were more people in front of us, and we ended up playing it like at a 7-some, and then we caught up with a couple other guys. Played it as a 10-some the whole way through, and we kept up with the people in front of us because it was moving a little slow then, but I mean, having 10 guys is pretty fun. And then also you look at the green, and it was just, it looked like a practice facility. There were just 10 balls all over the green and just off the green, but it was a lot of fun. So no holes in one with our group. It seems that holes in one are a little prevalent there, but it was pretty it was pretty cool. I really had a lot of fun at the Cradle. I think it's a fun little thing to do. They've got a little, kind of, I'll call it a halfway house, but they got a little house up there with a bar, and you can get a beverage and walk with your beverage, and, you only need 2 or 3 clubs, depending on, maybe 4, depending on, your distances. But yeah, I mean, as long as you have something that hits at 125 and below, you're good. I pretty much brought gap wedge and sand wedge, and that was all I needed. I didn't bring the lob wedge, and honestly, I don't think I would have ever needed it. I was just, as you go around that course, everything's so tight. Everything's, kind of mown. I mean, there's no rough. Everything's fairway and then green. And if you do miss the green and you're kind of short-sighted or whatever, I mean, typically, you would kind of either putt some of those shots, or you'd kind of bump and run them and just kind of pop them onto the green and let them release out. I guess you could use a lob wedge if you got in some of the bunkers. I actually never got into any of the bunkers, so that was kind of nice. A lot of guys did. There are a good amount of bunkers on that course. I didn't touch any of them, which was nice. So I guess there you might use a lob wedge. But yeah, I brought a 50, a 56, and a putter, and that was it. And I was perfectly fine. So the hole that could play to like 125 was only playing like, they had the tee moved up a little bit. I think it was only playing like 108 or something like that. So with a gap wedge, I was fine. And then, yeah, we played it a few times. It was a great time. It was really fun. Like I said, the undulation was on the greens was pretty cool, and just the layout was, like I said, some holes could be tough, other holes were gettable. A couple holes, I think it was it hole 3, or no, maybe 4. But it was kind of this uphill little par 3. It was like, what was it, like 60 yards? I think it was just under 60 yards, and I walked up. I just, we're kind of playing Liberty golf. I put my ball down. And I took had my 56, kind of opened the face a touch, hit kind of a lower shot than I wanted to, but, got up the hill, hit it right at the pin, and I was like, oh, that'll be great. And then the guy behind me, Eric, who's a super nice guy, hits it way left, like left edge of the green, and the ball hits and just filters down to the right. And I was like, oh, that's the play, huh? And he's like, yep. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be good for me, because I went right at the pin. It wasn't that bad, but I was like, 30 feet right. of where my ball landed. But it was a great time. It was really fun. The cradle's very cool. That whole Pinehurst resort, in terms of, like I said, we didn't play any of their courses, but driving through it and all that, super super fun. So appreciate it. Thank you to Golf Pride for having us down. It was a good time. And then we also had to play a really, like I said, we didn't play Pinehurst, but we did play a course called, or at a club called Forest Creek, which was absolutely gorgeous. We played their South course, and which I guess is the easier of the two, and that even had some holes that were a little challenging, some long par fives, but absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. Just kind of cut through the pine trees there, and I didn't hit. I mean, I hit the ball decent. I just didn't score well. I drove it okay. I just, I think I had some really bad 3-wood shots. I think, for a lot of these trips, it's for when I put together my, like, what's in the bag for these trips, it's one of those, I want to bring a lot of great clubs, but I also don't want to bring stuff that, like, if the airline loses my bag or destroys my bag, that I'm going to be 100% upset with losing some stuff. So it's kind of a little mix of like, stuff I do play, stuff I don't really play. And I think my 3-wood choice for this week, which again I'm kind of on that 3-wood hunt, but it was my 3-wood reason. So I brought the Hanma TR21 Big LB, so the big titanium 3-wood. It's deeper face, larger head, and it's got right now a Nippon Formula MB Plus 75X in it. And I've always been kind of off and on with it, but it's an absolute cannon, titanium face. I mean, it goes a long way. And I brought it figuring I've had some driver woes. I haven't been hitting driver great. If I don't hit driver well, I can just hit 3-wood off the tee. And I brought that 3-wood, and that 3-wood and I just don't get along. So it's, I think, officially retired. I think it's done. I think I've run my course with it. I think it's time for it and I to part ways. And I just, like, the par fives, I hit a couple shots with that off the tee, that 3-wood off the deck that I hit it left, and just, then you're punching out of the pines. I hit one dead left that I lost, never found it, so I had to drop. So I had a couple one, and then the worst part is, like, those are the holes that I actually hit driver really well. And then I just, completely destroyed the hole by hitting that shot. So, driver I hit pretty decent. I had a couple bad drives, but for the most part hit it pretty well. And I was playing Rogue ST, ST Max LS with just a standard Ventus Blue, and I hit that pretty darn well most of the day. Hit some absolute bombs out there. I was playing with a couple guys who could really move it, and I was just behind them, which was pretty nice. Even you had, like, I think one where I was kind of second in line in terms of how far we hit it. So there was some good balls hit out there. I just the second shots, if they weren't iron shots, I was struggling. And even some of the iron shots I didn't hit well, like long iron shots I didn't hit well. So I got to work on that. But I don't remember exact score. Like, we finished up. We were playing a game called Vegas, which was pretty fun. It's tough to score, but it's pretty fun. And then it was the first time I've ever played it, and it was kind of a cool way to play it. I definitely lost. I was the one who had to pay out the most, unfortunately, but it was still a good time. And we played that, and it was it was just an amazing course. I'd love to play it again. Like I said, just absolutely beautiful. Some subtleties in the greens that were tough to read because that you never played it before, and a couple shots that now, after hitting it, now seeing where where the things lined up, it would be really fun to play again, just having a little lay of the land. But it was absolutely beautiful course. It was a ton of fun. So that was a great week. And then I just like I said, literally got home. I'm gonna do a lot of catch up before the long weekend today, and it's just one of those it's a crazy week. So anyway, we'll get into I guess I'm trying to think anything else on that trip. I mean, like I said, I brought that. Oh yeah, so I will say this. So my what's in the bag, like I said, it's kind of a little bit of kind of newer and older stuff. So driver was Rogue ST Max LS with the Ventus Blue. Driver wise, it was kind of tough to decide. I've been hitting the Rogue decent though, and the last time I was out at my league, I hit Rogue pretty well. So I was like, let's just bring that. And I hit it again pretty well. I think I'm going to try it with Ventus TR tonight if we play. And then this weekend I'm going to play as well, so I might bring that, and I'll probably bring a second driver this weekend. And that'll be, but Rogue ST Max LS was pretty good. I think I want to try it with Ventus TR just to see if I can kind of still have that kind of similar trajectory to Ventus Blue that was there, but that little stiffer handle section. See if I can add just a touch of control to it. But that combo seemed to be pretty darn good. And then 3-wood, I brought that Hanma TR21, which again was kind of a little bit of a mess there. So that wasn't that'll probably go, not stay. And I brought the Tour Edge, the Exotics, the C722 hybrid, the 4 hybrid, which I've turned from 21 to 20 degrees. And that I didn't hit a ton, but I tell you what, I hit one shot on 18. I hit a terrible drive, like flat out topped it, and I had like 260 something to the green. I mean, it was a long way away, and I just hit that because the ball was kind of sitting up. I was going to hit 3-wood, and then I was like, nope, I haven't hit that 3-wood good all day. Took out hybrid, smoked it right down the right side, which everything flows down to the left, and I had like, I think what was like 30-yard wedge shot. I mean, it was nothing down there, and even the guys I was playing with were pretty impressed with, how far that thing went. So hit that really well. Like I said, only hit it a couple times. Then I had the Tour Edge, the Thai Utility 4-iron, which I really didn't use a ton. There wasn't a lot of shots that I had to hit. I had to hit, that on a long par 3, and I just put a bad swing on it that time. But I played that, and then I played. What irons? I brought the Cobra Tour MIMs with the Fujikura Pro 115s. I hit those really good all day. I hit those really solid. It was those are still solid irons, man. They're just good irons, and I hit them pretty solid all day. And then wedge wise, I brought my Vokey, my SM8 50 and 56 that I had from last year, which kind of, like old friends, hitting those things again. Really liked them and realized that I was just a big fan of those wedges. And then I had a Cleveland RTX or a full face RTX or RTX full face 58 that I bent to 60 as my lob wedge. And again, with the kind of the tight lies, not much rough on these courses, I didn't really use that lob wedge very much. I hit it a couple shots, or that was around the green, kind of short sided, whatever. But that was it. I was really never in any greenside bunkers. Hit a ton of fairway bunkers, which is definitely my nemesis. But never hit really any greenside bunkers where I needed that thing. I had a couple shots right around the green that I missed that I used it, but that was about it. I probably only used it about twice. And then putter wise, I brought the Toulon Chicago, which was kind of hit or miss. I definitely had some speed issues. A lot down there, with that grass, it's definitely, there's a lot more grain to it than there is up here. So I would always, be reading the lies, downhill, uphill, all that. And I would never look at the grain of the grass, and I left a lot of putts short that were into the grain. But again, never, I just kind of forgot that was a factor because up here you don't worry about that. There's not as much of the grain that you have to worry about, and so it was. It was challenging, but it was a lot of fun. And like I said, that course, Forest Creek, was awesome. It was a blast. And then got on a pull out, literally, and that was it. I literally got done with my round, threw all my stuff in my bag, jammed everything into my travel bag, and then I unfortunately was out the door. My shuttle was picking me up and off to the airport to head home. So it was a busy day, but a lot of fun. So it was a good one. And then, the one thing that I will say before we get into the next item, which I got two, kind of one's kind of an update thing on a club that I've talked about before, and the other one is a shaft that I've been meaning to talk about for a while. So we'll get into that, and let's start with the update real quick, and that would be SM9. Which I know I've talked about before, the SM9s, Vokey SM9. So they sent for media samples a handful of, I think they sent kind of like one of each finish and a couple different grinds, a couple different finishes, or a couple different options. But one of them was a 54D grind, which, if you guys know, last year for the SM8s, I was playing the 56D grind. And the D grind is basically very similar to the M, but a lot more bounce. So the 54 is a 12-degree bounce. D grind, good amount of trailing edge relief, good amount of heel and toe relief, and we've got but a ton of bounce in soft conditions, and even the sand. The club just gets through the turf, gets through the sand really easily. Like I've always said, I'm kind of a steep player. I get over the top, I come down on the ball, I get a little steep. So the D grind is great for that. And up here in Michigan, we play a lot of short, we're always have pretty much soft conditions. It's very rare that it's very firm. So the D grind is definitely one of my preferred favorites. And my sand wedge is probably the club I use the most in terms of around the green. Now, if it's something off the fairway, front of the front fairway or fringe, and chip into a back pin, I'm probably going to use my 50 or my pitching wedge. But for everything else, for the most part, I use my 56. And then, of course, if something's crazy short-sided, need to get it up in the air really fast, then I'll use my 58 or 60, depending on what I'm going with in the bag. But but they sent in a 54D, which I don't really play a 54 much anymore. I'm playing the 56, but I figured whatever, we'll throw it in the bag and give it a whirl. And I've taken it out to my league a couple times. I've played a couple 18 holes with it, and I do have to say that I just really like this thing. The D grind, just like last year, performs really well. It gets through the turf really, really quickly, even on kind of shallower swings. It works, well for me. Again, we're not playing crazy tight lies here in Michigan, but it gets through even tight lies. The leading edge is low enough that I can get down under the ball and get it up and moving. Spin-wise, I would say that it's very similar in terms of spin between my SM8 and this. In terms of release on the ball, very, very similar, extremely predictable. It was kind of like one of those no getting used to anything. You just kind of hit your shots and go. And there was, literally no change for me in terms of, from there to the new one. On really kind of fuller shots, because this thing, 3/4 swings is about as much as I'm going to hit it. 80 yards is about the max I'm probably going to swing this thing, unless it's like downwind or downhill. 80-yard shot is about as much as I'm going to try to hit this. I know some people hit their sand wedge, 100 and some yards, and they take big full swings with it. Not me. I don't have that comfort level with doing that. So for me, 3/4 swings or so are about as much as I'll do. And for those, it does seem to have a good amount of check to it. Those balls do not release a whole lot. Unless they're out of some just absolutely nasty rough. But they do not check, or they check pretty darn hard. So the spin on it's really good. And then, again, turf interaction, whether it's tight, whether it's rough, that D grind is just really solid. You can kind of thump the club into the ground and know that it's just going to kind of glide through the turf. And, once that ball's gone, it's your divots aren't going to be crazy deep, crazy huge. They're going to be pretty manageable. The feel on it, though, is definitely better than SM8. It's extremely soft, especially those soft, like shorter little, say, 20-yard chip shots, or even like the 10-yard little kind of bumps onto the green. Those type of shots, you play a little, open face shot out of the rough just to kind of pop it onto the green, let it roll out. Those shots there, extremely soft. I would say softer than SM8 for sure. To me, definitely noticeable. And that's the one thing that I do really like about the SM9 is that I can move from SM8 to SM9 with basically no adjustment to my game or mental ideas about my game whatsoever. But I get a little softer, nicer feel to it, and it definitely has that. That's the one thing. The first thing I noticed when hitting off a mat in the winter, I was like, wow, that's a much softer feel than I remember from SM8. And now hitting SM8 all weekend, which again, I love those SM8s. Hitting this and getting that little softer feel is pretty nice. And the other thing too, full shots are probably now, after again taking this out and then taking out my SM8s, the SM9s maybe just a smidge lower ball flight. Maybe not so much on those tiny 30-yarders or whatever, but those 80-yard shots, those closer to full shots, there may be a little lower ball flight there with the SM9 for me. And just overall, been really impressed with this 54D grind. And it's just, I've really liked it. So overall, if you're somebody with an SM8, do you need to switch to SM9? I don't think you necessarily do. If you're somebody thinking about moving to SM9 from, a 7 or something else, hey, if your stuff's starting to get a little worn, whatever, SM9s are really good. They're really soft. It's a really good wedge, but I've really liked it. Like I said, I've been playing this jet black SM9, and I think I may look into completing the set. And then the biggest thing is going to be figuring out the 60 and what I want to do there, since I played the 60D grind in the SM8, and I don't know. I didn't get along with it in the 60 like I did the 56. So that was kind of a wedge I didn't really use much last year. So I'd probably maybe try to figure out with the 60 what I would do there. But the D grind again is my boy, and the SM9 I've really liked. So been really impressed with these, and kind of, I wouldn't say falling in love again, but kind of falling in love again with them, because that's just what I've liked. And then the other thing that I've been playing a decent amount of, because I've been playing a lot of my P770s lately. I've been playing my P770 a little more than I've been playing my Gen 5 PXGs. I've just been hitting these a little more solid and been a little more consistent with them. So they've been in the bag. And it's not a knock on the PXGs by any means. It's more, just me being a little more consistent with them. But I did switch out the stock KBS Tours that came in them with a KBS Tour Lite, which is the new shaft from KBS. And basically, it's a version of KBS Tour, but lighter weight. So the regular flex is like 105 grams, or the regular and stiff are 105 grams, and then the X flex, or I'm sorry, that's parallel tip. Sorry, regular flex is 95 grams, the stiff is 100, and then the X is 105, and the taper. If you get into the parallels, if you use parallel tip shafts, you're at 105, 105, and 110. So regular and stiff 105, and then 110 for the X. So definitely a little lighter weight, but they definitely are meant to be, and they make them 2-through pitching wedge in both. These here are basically designed as kind of a KBS Tour feel, but lighter weight. And with that, they do launch a little bit higher than the KBS Tour. Putting these in here, I noticed a little higher launch. It's not crazy high, but definitely noticeably higher than the KBS Tour that was in here before, because I had a KBS Tour 120, and I hit those okay. That 120 gram weight is, I don't know, the more I hit kind of some of the lighter stuff, the more I kind of get, the more I like it. The more I find a little more success with some of this lighter weight stuff. And the Tour Lite is really nice. It's got a really smooth feel to it. It's just like KBS Tour. It's easy to load. You can really feel the club kind of release or kick at impact. And it's just got that kind of smooth feel. It doesn't have a ton of vibration to it, or a ton of harsh vibration. Even on miss hits, it seems to be pretty darn good with reducing some of that. You're always going to get that little more audible and sound and feel and all that from the club, but from the shaft, it's pretty smooth, and it's not too harsh on miss hits, but it does fly a little higher, which actually I don't mind. I was kind of almost looking for that in a sense. The P770s do get in the air, but I don't mind hitting it a little bit higher, just because I don't hit a super high ball. And then also too, that it does say that they do spin a little bit more than KBS Tour. And again, I think with that, and that's maybe one of the reasons why I'm hitting these a little more consistent than the PXGs, is that the P770 is a pretty low spin driver, or iron head, and putting in something like this Tour Lite that does spin a little bit more is probably giving me a little bit of spin, adding a little control to my shots. And, like I said, going into the greens, I mean, I've never had a problem with the 770 stopping them on the green, in terms of whether it's, hitting a 6-iron or whether it's hitting a 9-iron or pitching wedge. These things, in terms of distance control, are pretty good. There's not a ton of rollout, with them. I mean, especially the short irons, when you hit, they're pretty much kind of that drop and stop, and they're done. But the KBS Tour Lite is like I said, and it's been really consistent. I've been hitting it a lot, and it's I don't have any shots that get really squirrely, or shots that you put a swing on it and said the ball shouldn't have done that. Everything's been really consistent. Dispersion's tight. I've again, not hitting shots that I'm thinking are, good swings and the ball going places it shouldn't. They're pretty much, going where I swing it, which may or may not be a good thing. But in terms of a lightweight shaft, it's got some stoutness to it. I put the X's in mine because I got a set of stiffs, a set of X's, and one of the guys in the office definitely wanted to try them, so I let him have the stiffs, and I took the X, which is typically not what I play. And they're definitely stout. I think for me, after hitting the X, I haven't hit the stiff yet. I need to go snag one of his irons and hit the stiff. But hitting the X, they definitely have kind of that, maybe slightly softer feel. Like a KBS Tour in X is definitely going to feel a little bit more stout than the Tour Lite, which again, I mean, it's a little lighter weight. There's a little less steel there. It makes sense. But I think something like an X kind of soft stepped for me would probably be pretty good. And I'm kind of that, mid to high 80s swing speed guy with a 6-iron. I'm looking at like 85 to 87 miles an hour is around where I play my 6-iron at. So I don't bring a ton of heat, especially my irons. I don't hit it super hard. And these here actually feel just a hair stiffer than they probably should. And I think if I either soft stepped these or did like a stiff where I hard stepped them, would probably be pretty much perfect for my game. But I think they do play, they're not going to play near as stiff as, say, a C-taper 130 stiff or something like that. But I think for overall stiffness, they do play pretty close, maybe just a hair softer than like, say, like the 120, which again I think you would expect from a lighter steel shaft. But I played the X and it's actually been pretty good. I haven't had any problems. Ball still gets up in the air really easily. I'm not hitting shots low and to the right. Everything is getting up in the air really easily. It's easy to launch. So I've been playing these, and I've really liked them so far. And like I said, I think this combo with the P770 has just been really good. If you're looking for something to launch a little higher, but you're looking, not looking for something that's a wet noodle and whippy, the Tour Lite is a pretty darn good option because, like I said, it is fairly stout. It's super consistent, but it offers you some good smooth feel to it, just like the KBS Tour. And like I said, just in a lighter weight package, and depending on what you're looking for in terms of weight, like I said, stiff is that 100 gram, and these are the 105. And I've just had a lot of success with them so far. Building them in the P770s, really minimal tip weighting. I want to say I had a couple clubs with a 2 gram tip weight, a couple clubs with a 4 gram, and then I had a couple that had no tip weights at all. So, built out, I don't think they have a lot of counterbalancing to them. I think they're pretty, probably a little more tip heavy, but didn't have any, weight issues in terms of building these up at stock P770 lengths. And they were just a really solid offering. So if you're looking for something to launch just a little bit higher, want a little bit more spin, but you don't want to go to something that's super soft and, like I said, kind of that, really flexible and all that. I mean, I know there's some super lightweight stuff out there, but if you're looking for kind of that lighter weight, but still getting a lot of control and still getting some height, this Tour Lite has been, I've been a big fan of it so far. So definitely it's worth trying if you want. If you check out kbsgolfshafts.com, you can check out the KBS Tour Lite and check it out what they're talking about it. Like I said, it's comes in a few options there, and I've been a big fan. So it's something that'll stay in my 770s. I'm probably gonna play these. Probably gonna play them tonight, and then we'll see. I'll probably play them this weekend as well. So bring these out, play them, and we'll have some fun this weekend. Play some golf, and it'll be a great weekend, a great Memorial Day weekend. So. But that's all I got. I know it's kind of a short episode. I apologize for that, but it's one of those where it's just been, like I said, kind of a wild week, and let's hope I can get out and play some golf tonight. So I've got nothing else. If you want to hit me up, if you got any questions, anything like that, hit me up on Instagram at ClubJunkiePod. I know I did a little bit of Q&A from the airport yesterday. It was kind of short, but I had 30 minutes before my flight, so a lot of times I'll do a Q&A, and if you want to ask questions about shafts or anything I've hit and my thoughts on them, my opinions, you can do that. So anyway, hit me up on there. That's all I've got. Hopefully you guys have a great week, have a great Memorial Day weekend, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week.